Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about habits and identity. Now, we all know that habits shape our lives. We all know things like if I have great health habits, I can expect to be healthier or to stave off disease in the future. We know things like if I have good financial habits, I can expect more financial freedom in the future. And so we recognize the way that habits are impactful to our lives. But today, what I want to dig into is how habits reflect and shape who you are as a person, how they play into your identity and your beliefs about yourself. This is incredibly important to understand as we go through the process of learning how to make and break habits. Because when we get that this is part of who we are. It's not just something that we do. It's a very different thing to commit to those habit changes. And so that's what we're going to dig into today. Welcome to Upcycled Adulting. This is my YouTube channel where I help you upcycle your real life into your best life through overcoming obstacles, growing to accomplish your goals, and of course, creating healthy habits. Now, do not forget to subscribe to this channel because I'm going to be digging so deep into habits and routines, and I am going to completely change the way you think about what you do as habits going forward in your life. And I have to tell you, this is absolutely life changing. Now, we've all heard that saying about how you are what you do, right? Not what you say. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. And we learn that and we generally apply that in our relationships. If somebody tells us that they're really nice, but they're not nice to us, we don't believe that they're actually a nice person. There's no part of us that actually believes that. And that's just one example of how habits are reflecting your identity. The things that you do every day show the people around you who you are as a person. But more importantly, they show you who you are as a person. And there's a very good reason for this. Our brains really like to find proof of what we believe, proof of what we say, proof of what we want to believe. This is a big part of why people who adamantly believe something, even if it's wrong, will continue to believe it because they'll just keep looking for proof. Your brain is looking for that match. Where we really struggle is where our habits do not align with who we believe we are. We start struggling with things like imposter syndrome, or we have a crisis of identity because the things we're doing aren't matching with who we know ourselves to be. Understanding that habits reflect who you are is essential in knowing how to address them, how to change them, and why things like imposter syndrome and crisis of identity are happening. It's because of a misalignment. And when you have an awareness of the misalignment, even if it's on a subconscious level, you will strive to find alignment. And so that means that you will start to rethink, is this really who I am? Identity crisis, imposter syndrome. Or is what I do who I am? Which is it? And it will create this confusion in your mind. The way that habits shape who we become is because when we do something over and over and over again, our brain also is looking for that match. Our brain also wants to connect our identity to that habit. Now, I have to tell you, for most of us, it's easiest to do this with the habits we don't like about ourselves. And that's why it's so much harder to break a bad habit than it is to create a good habit. It's because we so deeply identify with that habit. And you can hear it in our language. You will hear it all the time as soon as I say this. How many times have you said to yourself or about yourself, heard someone else say about themselves, I'm a procrastinator, I'm a smoker, I'm an emotional eater? When we say these things, we are embracing the action as part of our identity. Likewise, we can see this with good and healthy habits. People who are really proactive will say, I'm a proactive person. People who are kind will say, I am a kind person. People who, for example, this one really cracks me up because it's one of the only ones where this comes into play, who run will say, I am a runner. Now, oftentimes people won't apply the I am identity to habits that they have when they create a threshold or a barrier that makes you not truly a thing. And that threshold or barrier is usually based on someone else's perception of you, not your perception of yourself. For example, so many people won't say, I'm a writer if they're not published or if they haven't written a novel. So many people will not say, I'm an artist if their art has never hung in a gallery or been sold. And so understanding that the way that you embrace your habits as part of your identity, part of who you actually are, drastically shifts your relationship with your habits, your likelihood to continue your habits, and your likelihood to become the person that you long to be matters. When we create habits that shape who we are into the person we want to be, we become that person with very little effort. When we let go of habits that do not reflect the person we want to be, it is easier to believe we are not that person. This is an essential key element to changing the way that you perceive habits and that you take on new habits and break old habits. When you begin to recognize that your habits are so much a reflection of what you believe about yourself, it's easier to make those adjustments. And likewise, when you believe that your habits reflect who you are, it's easier to adjust your perception of your own identity. We need to stay in alignment about what we're doing and what we believe. We need to stay in alignment about who we believe we want to be and what actions we're taking to get there. When we create that harmony, our brain can create amazing, dynamic, and incredible plans to make it happen. Do not miss my next video. You have to subscribe because I'm going to dig deep into the number one secret of making and breaking habits. And I have to tell you, it's rooted in this idea, and it will absolutely change your life and everything that you have believed before about habits. And I'm just going to sneak peek and tell you, it is not about building routines. It's not about automating your habits. It's not about having habit trackers. It's not about any of that. And it is literally life altering. So do not forget to check that out. Bye, everyone.